Okay, welcome to this month's Zoom meeting. We start with the resolutions.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I just want to let everybody know the reason Megan is participating, as she has gotten approval from the village clerk, so she will be able to participate and speak during this discussion.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
First order of business is approval of last month's minutes. Are there any comments before? No, do I have a motion to approve? Okay, second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. And then approved by the committee of two, that was myself and Megan, was 11 Hampton Real Estate, 454 Hedges. The issue was sort of breaking up the second floor windows fenestration, which they did adequately, and it was approved. So the first order of business is 453 Hedges.
So good afternoon, board members. Wayne Bruin, O'Shea, Marcinson Bruin on behalf of the applicants. There was a little discussion earlier, but as this board is very familiar, we have been before the board on an informal basis. We presented 4 alternatives as to the layout and design. What we then proceeded to the Zoning Board of Appeals. And the Zoning Board of Appeals did grant the variances based on the last plan that this board had recommended. Just as an aside, there was one condition of the zoning board, and that played into the consideration of this board is that we had to maintain the picket fence in front of the existing dwelling and not have any hedges or landscaping in front of that building as well. And that was all acceptable to our client. Brian Glasser had wished to be here, his associate is here, and he can walk you through, just as a reminder, the plan, and then we're available for any questions.
Leave these up here so you can see. Yes, absolutely.
Good afternoon, members of the board. My name is Robert Paxton. Representing for Brian Glasser. As Wayne had mentioned, it's unfortunate we couldn't make it. Brian had mentioned to just go over the lighting analysis from the renovated Greek Revival. The existing window openings are to remain more or less in the existing structure. On the main house addition, the north front elevation is 15.8%. The south rear elevation is 15.3%. The east left side is 11.1%, and the west right side is 12%, resulting in a total average of 13.55%. On the renovated barn, the relocated barn, the north front elevation is 24%. The south rear elevation is 19.6%. The east left side elevation is 18.1%. And the west right side elevation is 20%, resulting in a total average of 20.43%.
And would that include when the barn doors are engaged, or is that maximum finish?
That's maximum.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions, madam? Sure.
I'm looking on the plan, it looks like the tennis court is aligned with the new house. But when I look at this rendering, it looks off, it looks at a weird angle. Am I crazy?
I think if you.
Okay, this is what, yeah, but in this one, it just looks odd, it's fine. It's a line.
I think it's this, the property
The
line
angle
is
is-
sort of a rhomboid, like.
Yeah, and
So
it's
right.
sort of the angle.
Okay. So it's,
Yeah, no, that
okay.
is definitely the way.
Yeah,
it should
like
look.
this.
Yes.
great, okay.
Maybe you can summarize the material for all the documents.
So regarding the materials, on the existing Greek revival, there's a brick chimney to remain, pressure treated Alaskan yellow cedar roof, copper gutters and leaders, painted white clapboard to replace the existing, and Marvin Ultimate windows, which will be white. On the existing barn, the pressure treated Alaskan yellow cedar roof, lead coated copper gutters and leaders, board and batten siding to match existing, and Marvin Ultimate windows in the suede, which on the top there is the color. On the proposed main house, the addition to the Greek revival, the roof will be pressure treated taper sawn Alaskan yellow cedar with 5.5-inch exposure. The gutters and leaders will be round and half round lead coated copper. Siding will be R&R shingles, Alaskan yellow 6-inch exposure. The chimney will be Connecticut fieldstone, square and rectangle pattern, lead coated copper flashing. The windows will be Marvin Ultimate suede, double hung simulated divided light 6/6. The trim will be Alaskan yellow cedar left natural. The columns will be Alaskan yellow cedar left natural as well. The patio will be blue stone with stone risers. And the railings will be Epay, no posts, solid top and rail, stainless steel cables. The wall sconces will be dark sky compliant. Any questions regarding the materials?
So is it basically sort of zero deviation from the last iteration that we had gone, that we showed us before ZBA?
It's the same date, January 13th, right? That's the date on the front. Yeah, they're all dated, it's the same.
Yes. I think it's great. I appreciate you guys, taking a collaborative effort with us before ZBA and everything.
What was the last date that we saw? Was this, I just wanted to,
January the 27th, I believe.
after ZBA?
ZBA came after,
Because this says 115 issued for ZBA.
right, but they came to you for support
Yeah,
and then they
before,
went to ZBA.
just
And we
to,
haven't seen it since,
Since ZBA,
Right.
this is your first.
right.
this is the set who's did for ZBA.
Yeah, after your meeting, we
Right.
had to have a public hearing, the whole 9 yards. We got our decision on April 11th.
Okay, it started a year ago.
Just approximately. Yes.
We're between that and Sag Main Street with the same architect. I see no problem with it. Recognize it for what we worked on before. Yeah.
We did a lot of work to
Yeah.
get to
Yeah.
this
Yeah,
positioning and to give Megan credit. One of her big ideas got us to this place and I think it was great and I really think it's beautiful.
Thank you.
sounds like a good time to make a motion to vote, I think.
Yeah.
Okay, we have a motion to vote.
All right.
Second. Okay.
Approved.
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Aye.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. Wait, does you remember? I'm not sure.
Would come back by others. Which used to be about all that is the team of them, yeah. And there's three old houses, one company. Yeah. It was going out especially here.
Oh, sorry, it's right there.
I was wondering.
Okay. So for the record, I'm the architect for the project, Val Florio. And I represent my clients who are here today. You have seen this project, I think it was approximately back in the winter, perhaps, of the year prior, maybe it was spring, I can't recall, but the request today, we have 4 accessory structures in the rear yard. And they're each labeled on your drawings, the cover sheet 1, 2, 3, and 4. Number 3 is the contributing historic barn, and we have done remediation work on that structure. Building number 2 is a future garage. It's actually something where John Woodsman, our chief inspector, had taken a look at it, and the integrity, it's an older structure in the way that it's been assembled, would not meet the high wind standard in terms of, we're in a zone where if we had a hurricane, wind force can get up to 140 miles per hour. So the intent would be to reconstruct in like in kind what we have as a proposed garage. And the same would be true of building number 1, which is our studio. And again, a non-contributing structure, but we plan to rebuild like in kind. What's happening with building 1 is that it has no floor. And to lift that structure, the house mover admittedly said there's not much left inside. It's an older building that it's been built on a slab. And a lot of the wood at the base of the structure has degraded to the point where it's been compromised. Again, it's not a contributing building, but I have documented each one to demonstrate that reconstruction would occur that you couldn't tell renovated versus a brand new building. The third structure we're asking for is known as the agricultural housing building, which is labeled number 4. And you're allowed to keep that to be repurposed as an office. It's not a working office, it's just an office. This is a large family, there's 6 adult children, and this will serve as a quiet study or a place to work. But again, this structure does not sit on a full waterproof basement. And the problem with it is not so much the integrity of the wood, but there's mold. And mold is a serious issue in terms of living space. Buildings 1 and 2 are not living space. I mean, the pool cabana, yes, you'll be inside. Building 2 is a garage, but building 4, just for health, safety, and welfare of the occupant, mold is highly toxic, and it's something that affects a small percentage of the population. I might, just a fun fact, Ed McMahon, our new talk show host with Late Night, his house in 2003 was clad with stucco. And in the Hamptons area, this product, which I won't name, became a huge sort of health issue in terms of trapping moisture. The mold, the house would not breathe. So the mold within those walls was actually propagating black mold. He wound up in the hospital with his wife, their dog passed away, and he became the poster child for black mold incidences around this country. Not that the board needs to hear this, but I'm thinking of health, safety, and welfare for my client. Eve has respiratory issues where she cannot be in a building with mold. And there are some people who are so sensitive that even paint can set off a respiratory issue. So, which I've had before, oddly enough, in Villages Agroponic. We had a house that was painted and the client was allergic to the chemicals within the paint. So Benjamin Moore sent out scientists to look at it. I hate to digress. Again, I'm coming to you to say everything we're doing would be exactly as we were approved. Each building, as you thumb through, is a photograph. I've documented the heights, the exact window locations. Nothing that you're being presented today is different than what had been approved, with the exception of the office structure, which is A11. The windows within that building were retrofitted.
Wait, the office being number 4.
Yes, and it's on this slide in front of us here.
I don't have any 11, I just.
Yeah, I abbreviated the set, so if you would, I would invite you to look at page number, be strong 7. It's A7, which would be almost the last page. And what this structure is, there was actually, you can see the larger of the 2 peak roofs. There was a shed that must have been dragged to the back of it at some point and then just connected. The shed doesn't sit on a foundation, it's on a slab. And these windows, which you see here, have no divisions, which is inconsistent with the sort of a historically correct house of this period. A lot of these structures were built circa, the main house is 1905. This agricultural building was not too long after. If the board is aware, this is a working farm and it's adjacent to one of the oldest farms in Sagaponic that dates back in the 1600s. So the building before you was actually an illegal rental, which was something we mitigated when we did our zoning board approval. Condition of that would be that this is only to be used for daytime use, no sleeping, no cooking. And if we were to seek some form of habitation, if there were an accessory apartment law, there would be a covenant restriction to run with the property to say that that is the only intended use. This is not a secondary structure for habitation on the property. So, but it will be used in a manner where client would be inside for several hours at a time. And the mold is such that it's not possible. I mean, it doesn't make sense to put a lot of money into this building to try to remediate where it could be difficult to do because it sits right on the ground. There's no, by code, you have to have a minimum of 6 to 8 inches of exposed concrete to mitigate termite damage, but also to keep the structure dry. So that's the story in terms of the three buildings. And no changes from the approval which this board granted.
An unfortunate issue. I'm sorry. And I appreciate you're trying to do the exactly the same because it's so perfect the way that it is. So thank you.
Thank you, Megan.
Would the, I mean, as far as recreating these in exact like kind from our standpoint, aesthetically, it looks the same, but John, would these have to be condemned in order to rebuild them?
No, I mean, what I can tell you is that the garage section, the barn, cannot be turned into what we approve. The structure is too compromised, it's too cobbled together, it just simply can't be done without doing it over. The mold issue, I have not seen in the back building, but I could smell it when I went in there, and it is a health hazard.
Yeah. Did my house in.
Might add, this is a growing issue across the country in terms of historic preservation. I am a preservationist. I served on Ahrb in Sag Harbor for many years, but there comes a point of diminishing returns on a 200 to 250-year-old house. It's like, when do you draw the line in keeping structure? Because the house begins to die the day it's born, and unless you keep the water out, it'll eventually, the wood will degrade. So that being said, we do ask for details. Will the structure be built exactly the way it appeared in terms of mass, scale, proportions of windows? And yes, we do that. There are some instances where all our homes don't meet code, the stairs don't meet code, windows don't meet fire code. Those are the things that we might say, okay, modern standards apply. We don't have that condition here because building number 4 is not to be used for habitation. But I would venture to say if the board had pushback on it, yes, could we keep it? Sure, but it has mold, and that's the issue. I think that is so pervasive inside that structure that it disqualifies it. The other two, as Mr. Woodsman pointed out, building 1 and 2 are the cabana and the garage respectively, but they were the assembly of the wall. It's not a full wall height. The wall is actually built to about a 5-foot height, and then another wall was stacked on top. And it was sort of a hodgepodge of framing where I don't know how or why they did that, but it would not meet, if we had a hurricane, which we have not had one out here since 1988. We had one in 85 and one in 88. They were low-grade hurricanes, 80-mile-per-hour wind. These buildings would not sustain 140-mile-per-hour wind. So, and eventually it's inevitable we may have one, but I'm thinking just in terms of longevity, if you're rebuilding like in kind, as I said, across the country, preservation is becoming a sticky issue because at some point you can't preserve, but we're hoping that this project will last long into the future. 100 years from now, these buildings will be there, even longer.
Well, from my perspective, I think you are preserving exactly as you should, right? That it looks and feels exactly the same. And the fact that, I mean, it would look the same if you were just reshingling it, frankly, from the outside to us, to the neighbor, right? So the fact that you're, structurally making things more sound and keeping, the visual part is exactly the same. It's It's just what we want, I think.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And it incentivizes future owners to not try to aggregate the square footage to build something giant and,
right.
you know.
Well, I think that's a good point, because let's theoretically say if this property were sold and someone had these buildings which were sort of questionable, they might say, let's take them all down. There's no recourse in terms of the only structure that's deemed historic aside from the primary dwelling is barn number 3. That's a contributing, and that thing is untouchable. At least from my perspective as a preservationist, if you have a building that's on that register, you can't do anything to that. But buildings number 1, 2, and 4, they're not on the register. And for that reason, someone, if it came in with a lawyer, could say, yes, we, by rights, we can take these down. The whole goal of this project, however, was a spirit of preservation. And as Megan had mentioned, it'd be very hard to distinguish between a renovated structure and a brand new one. They're gonna look identical. The fact of the matter is that the preservation of the newly built structure guarantees longevity into the future. We're talking now, something that could go well, another 100 years without being touched. So.
I think we all appreciate what you've done, preserve everything, so.
I haven't seen this before, I'm just looking at the pool cabana. So. It's structure number 1,
Yes.
and the drawing A3 shows. A new pool, right?
Correct. The building labeled on the cover sheet number 1
Yes,
is to be relocated in proximity to a brand new swimming pool. It's coming closer to the main house.
right, yeah, so there'd be 2 pools on the side?
No, the pool's gone. Yeah, the existing
This pool is gone.
It's gone. Yeah,
Oh, so it would just slide closer to the house?
that's right.
Okay, I understand.
Yeah, the previous pool was, it had a leak. A lot of these older pools, only about 6 to 8 inch thick walls, and it had a slow leak, and it's also in a location where the addition.
So this would slide down to here?
It is, it's coming closer,
Okay.
approximately to the line of that fence for the road. Again, I'm sorry, you weren't part of those discussions, but I came to the board to ask to keep these buildings
Right.
so that we kept the look and feel.
Oh, yeah.
They contribute to the character of the neighborhood in Sagaponic, and that I felt was important. That we asked for a special relief so that we're not by rights taking down buildings,
I
but we
understand.
wanted to
I
keep
understand.
them.
I just wanted to clarify.
So, yeah. So,
I think not identifying exactly how you're reducing bar number 3, where exactly you're moving structure number 1, everything piecemeal seems visually good in what you said. But we're not getting a fully complete
a full
holistic
site
look at
plan.
it.
it's on the survey, which
I guess that was a little bit of what I was just thinking
Yeah.
about. I'm just curious. Again, I don't think I was here when we did this, but. The historic structure and that reduction in size, what is that based on? Or is that,
it was a goodwill effort to show the board that we weren't asking for more square footage. The existing barn, barn number 3, which is the largest one on the property. Our intent was to.
you're reducing that to move the square footage somewhere else?
Just to decrease, because we were granted a variance approval for extra GFA. And so we thought, why not, come into the board and preempt that request? We didn't want to come in and say, look, we want as much square footage as possible. So we came in asking what would be a reasonable thing to do, and that was to say, look, we're wanting to reduce square footage, and we've done that already.
I'm sorry, just to be clear, because I might not be following.
Yeah.
So
Can
you're
I point
reducing
to-
there and you're increasing somewhere else, or you're not increasing anywhere else?
This was a decrease of 2,000 square feet to this barn.
And is it, are
And then
you,
And then this,
Yeah.
this part of the garage.
is being
too.
increased?
And the garage, and yeah, this was a vehicle repair barn or, storage of sorts, but this was a reduction here, and we're keeping the footprint, so it would be converted to a garage. And
So
that's-
nothing's being added? You
Nothing's
just
being added.
But if you could ever do a new site plan rendered like this, it would be really good.
Right, I had presented to the board, all of this is approved in terms of
Right,
the locations and everything, but nothing's changing from our original approval. It's the exact approval.
But you do have a revised site plan and.
We do, and actually it's up on the screen,
Which is already approved by us.
That's
Yeah,
right.
when was
You're
that?
now asking to,
so.
instead of restoring, to
Right.
recreate the.
And if I could correct you, there's no revision to the site plan, there's no change, nothing that you're looking at here is different. It's just to ask if we could rebuild in like in kind.
There's a little extrapolation.
Number 4, you just wanna,
Yeah, that's it,
it's just wanna,
yeah, so,
Do you have access to the animation that Val did for his first presentation?
No,
yeah.
I'm sorry, not to be different, I don't remember it, so I might not have been.
yeah, I don't remember
Do
it.
we know when it was? Just curious.
I'm trying to think, we began work on this in the fall, so it may have been in the I think about over a year ago.
Yeah,
Over a
So I
year
guess
ago.
the only question I'm asking, it's more for the board or council,
Yeah.
I'm just trying to understand if 3 is a historic building and we're allowing a reduction in size, right? Does that set some sort of precedent for allowing a reduction in size of historic buildings of any kind and, for, I don't know. I'm
No,
just-
I, for example, had a historic barn that I could leave because it was pre-existing, non-conforming or but in
Or
part
like
of.
additions, we've.
No, but I'm saying,
allowed.
this is already there, but in part of my negotiations with ZBA,
Yeah.
they had me cut off 7 feet off the back to allow more of to be closer to conformity with lot line. So there are areas where if it can maintain its historic.
Right.
uh,
No, and I get that, I'm just wondering, just from literally a technical standpoint. It's just an arbitrary amount of square feet that are coming off, like I missed something, so I guess.
Yeah, I
Well, that was a zoning board question that you're asking.
Okay.
And in terms of the precedent being set, this was such a unique case, which was presented to the zoning board where they worked in tandem with you, but the way this building presents itself to the road, the gable end of that building remains unchanged. So a passerby coming down Sag Main Street would look at that gable. There's nothing in terms of the contributing factor in terms of look and feel. It's the same,
I get it, I'm really just asking a very technical question.
right?
It looks great. My technical question is just, again, it's not my jurisdiction, that's fine. If you have a building of this size and you're taking it down by those many square feet, is it based on a percentage, is it an arbitrary
No,
number,
no.
is
Yeah,
it?
the board, the
It's
zoning board
programmatic.
takes into consideration.
well, they just, yeah, and there probably,
Individually.
yes, and there probably is an inflection point from a historical aesthetic standpoint.
Right.
Where it deviates from looking like an accessory building,
Right.
but he's not there now. And I think given that we already approved.
Yeah, no, I'm not, I
Yeah.
just, I
Oh, no, no, I'm
was.
just saying in general, given that we've already approved the location and everything. We should narrow the focus down to saying, can he rebuild with exact materials,
Right.
Right.
Right, and take down that size was approved, but I'm
Yeah,
just
yeah.
asking because, if somebody else came in and said, I have a historic.
Your board has the duty, and if it comes before you, you can override the zoning board in terms of your determination. You can say, we feel, based on your findings, that will it set a precedent in a negative way that people in the future can follow that pathway. However, since the zoning board was so enthusiastic, as well as this board, but to answer your question, no, you cannot, if someone came with a historic house and said, we're gonna cut the thing in half, you have the duty to say, you've purchased this historic home that's contributing to the neighborhood. This thing cannot be, done or taken apart to that extent.
It would largely be a line of sight issue. Even that would,
Here we go.
and even that would be.
No,
a
I
line
know
of
that,
sight
I
issue.
guess that's why I'm just asking in context of that, but.
Right.
Right.
But I think the distinction here is that these are accessory buildings versus a house. And also, one of the factors, when the zoning board has a 5-part factor test, and they talk about quality of life, does it, is it a hardship that the applicant brought upon themselves? There are many things that you could
Factors.
look at, right? But the fact is that the zoning board found this favorable in that the mass of this building, as it presents itself, it's the same presentation to the street, so there was no adverse effect. But you have a lot of authority, much more than.
I just wanna understand, and again,
Yeah,
apologies for not knowing the history of it.
Can I see the site plan again?
the site plan is on page 1 of this set here, and you can back it up and you can see what we were
Okay,
approved by
that's
the
it, yeah.
Yeah, or there was a, okay, coming down, Cat, I think this may be, there, yeah, so.
Might not have been here.
Okay, I just thought I was crazy because I didn't remember it, but probably when I wasn't here, I think, so, I wasn't.
So, but we made a great effort. Again, the project was presented to you under the spirit of preservation. And I think that in itself is why the zoning board found merit with it, as well as the Board of Historic Preservation and Architectural Review, but.
So Tony, what are we signing off on today?
Yeah,
We,
Number 4.
number 4, basically.
so the last one wants to
Yeah,
reconstruct it.
it's full of mold, he wants to rebuild it.
Yeah.
I'm for not having mold, so that's what I say. No mold.
Nobody wants to be a
So
man.
given, do we feel comfortable him not specifying the super perfection cedar shake shingles and stuff? And given that we've already
I'm sure
approved
you
it
will.
before,
They are specified on the plans.
Yeah.
Yes.
You're-
So.
Everything is in like and kindness of what we've already approved, so
Correct.
it's.
Right, there's no change. These buildings, whether they had been renovated, as Megan had pointed out, versus brand new, would be presented with the same exact result. It's just that one of them, it's the skeleton of the building, which is gonna last much longer.
It's gonna look so beautiful.
Thank you.
I'm excited to see.
Thank you. Thank you.
Motion to vote?
Yep, sure.
Okay. Second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Bye.
Thank you, board.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks for walking us through it.
Yeah.
Slowly walking us through it.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Motion to approve rather than vote, right? Doesn't matter.
Motion to approve.
Oh, motion to approve, yeah.
Yes, second.
All in favor?
All in- aye.
Aye.
There we go. We're down to committee of 2. I'm leaving Denver tomorrow till Memorial Day, so I'm gonna recuse myself from that.
I'm happy to do it with someone.
I'll do it.
There we go.
I'll do it too.
You have Alicia and Catherine?
Do we have anything to bring? We got.
Alicia and Megan.
No,
Oh, Alicia and Nathan?
Just to be around if we need it.
motion to adjourn.
Second.
Good.
Second. Fastest meeting in history.
All in favor?
Unbelievable.
And we tried our best with this one to drag it on.
Thank you.